We are now live, Miss Carol.
Okay. All right. Well, my name is Miss Carol, although it is Mrs. Ray for 57 years. And I'm delighted to be here. Ronnie and I have been working together for quite a long time now. Reached out to him, or he reached out to me a while back. I don't know how many months ago it's been, but he said that
Almost
he
a
wanted me
year.
to know that it hasn't been
Actually,
that
it's
long.
been over a year. I
Oh
can go
my
back to the
gosh.
original email. I remember it being around January, February last year.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, it was a wonderful conversation because he wanted me to know that he had been hiring my graduates for a year or two, and that he loved working with them. He found them to be error-free, and if they did make errors, they knew how to fix it. And so he's exclusively using Notary2Pro graduates. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Carol Ray, and I am a retired escrow manager. I was an escrow officer, an escrow manager for a number of years. And then after my retirement, I did signings for 14 years. In 2009, it really struck me that there was no decent training out there at all, no comprehensive hand-holding details, the tiniest details. It didn't exist. And so I put Notary2Pro together. I spent 2 years begging people just to take a look and see what I was doing. Nobody cared very much, but I kept pursuing it. And now we have been almost 11 years in business. We have, we know for sure over 8,000 graduates over the years. I'm very proud of them. They're all over every state. And we have more and more companies that are recognizing their certifications. So I thank Ronnie in part for that because he's been kind of noisy about it. So I appreciate that. This young man, who's young enough to be my son, in fact, my son is 15 years older than he is, but he has created a great atmosphere for notary signing agents. He needs to be very proud of himself. He did do this work, and he started his company, Unlimited Ink Notary. He's located in Arizona in Phoenix, and he is really there, not just for his own benefit. He's there for the notaries. I get such good reports because I do keep up with my graduates and I know what they're doing. And he and I both have a passion for this business, and not just loving the business and doing it ourselves, but helping notaries and training them. He started something called Notary Stars. So this show is going to be primarily about what they're doing at Notary Stars that I'm really excited about. So I'm going to turn this over to Ronnie Mickle, the owner of Unlimited Ink Notary and Notary Stars. So I'm going to mute myself and let you take over, okay?
All right.
I have some questions for you.
All right. So, Miss Carol's right. Like I was, and I want to say this because I actually told you this. I actually can probably pull up that old email. I was very skeptical of Notary2Pro when I first started. There's a lot of certification courses out there, and a lot of as a signing agency, I've tested a lot of programs that allows me to connect with all of you guys nationwide and find the best notary for the job. And I noticed this little tick box called Notary2Pro. And I had seen it before on forums and all of these things, but I never quite knew what it was. And I started doing like an A/B test between the different certification programs. And it was apparent to me very quickly that when we used a Notary2Pro graduate, there were no errors. And when we used other graduate programs, there were lots of errors. And so I started wondering to myself, like, how can I make my company better? And at this time, we only had 3 clients. And Ms. Carol will tell you, in the last year, we've gone from 3 major clients to we have over 25 companies using us nationwide. And I wanted to mitigate errors, make them as small as possible, because we're all going to make errors. I used this example a long time. Just last month, I got a ding. I didn't stamp something properly. I fixed it immediately. I was wondering, okay, I've been doing this for 11 years. I was very lucky. I had an escrow officer teach me how to do this. And I sat down, I did the research, and I wrote Miss Carol one night and I said, I've been using your graduates and I need to get my error rate down or I'm going to lose clients. And this is before we started getting clients. And within 3 months, I started doing a dedication just to her program. I actually put it in my orders that go out. It says, you know, unless you're a Notary2Pro graduate or can this kind of, you know, experience, I'm not going to hire you. And I think she started getting a flood in of graduates, and I actually had her train my local markets, which at the time were Seattle, Las Vegas, and Arizona, all at the same time. And I just made it a rule in my busiest cities: if you're not a Notary2Pro graduate, you just won't get the job. And we gave them like 3 months time to do this. She was very generous with that, and she did offer a discount at that time because we were bringing in so many at one time. And I'm not kidding you, we went from those few companies that were using us nationwide to now we have 25. Some of them are multiple offices, and we're in conversations with companies that I never thought would look at us because of what Miss Carol does. And I say it all the time, you know, I don't know what it is, but I know when I train a notary personally that they go on to become great notaries because I go over the most important points. And, you know, I've gone through the course myself and looked at things, and I see she has I call it the magic juice, something in the Kool-Aid, whatever your expression is for that. But I found that with Notary2Pro that we are getting the quality that we need. And there is something said for that. There's a lot of training programs out there that are like, watch these videos, do it this way. Miss Carol, I know, is on the phone with her students all the time. You know, it's hard to get on the phone with her. Like I said before we started this meeting, we call each other really early in the morning because she knows I'm busy running a signing agency and Notary Stars. And I know she's busy onboarding students. And every month, you know, we try to do a video for everybody and all of these things. And that's why I wanted to do this today, is to kind of give a reason why we are looking at Notary2Pro.
Excuse me, can you please mute everybody again, because I'm not hearing you.
Sure, I sure will. Let me just figure out how to do that really quick because I have my screen expanded because I wanted to see all your faces. Okay, I promise I'm going to do this.
Ronnie, this is someone who has 926641 on their screen, I believe.
Okay, I think I can find it real quick that way. Thank you.
I don't want to comment as to whether or not, but I agree with the decision 100%.
There we go. Is that better, everybody? Nobody has to say, but somebody can nod their head and I can see all your faces. There you go. All right. So getting back to what I was talking about, I've really enjoyed working with Notary2Pro graduates and Miss Carol because of the way she runs her training company. There's something about the human connection that makes it easier for people to learn. I went to school. You can see them hanging back here in the background. I'm so proud of them. It took me till I was 32, and I'll be 40 this summer. It took me till I was 32 to get those degrees, but I do have a master's in adult education and training. And I do know that there are various ways that people learn. Standalone videos are one way of learning, but when people have a support system and have an instructor that they can talk to and actually communicate with, or someone that's supporting them, that is one of the way that people learn. This is, you know, there's a science behind education. You know, and we're getting better as a society to learn. And unfortunately, in this industry, like Ms. Carol said, around 2009, she realized there is no education out there. So that's why she created Notary2Pro. I have started Notary Stars because of different reasons. And we do training on Notary Stars, but I would tell you right now, and I say it publicly, we are not a certification course like Ms. Carol. Ms. Carol has earned her right, and she has over 100 companies following her graduates that will give preference to her graduates. I'm just one of them. I'm probably the most loud and the most personable. I do feel that Ms. Carol and her family are cut from the same cloth. I run my company like a family business. There's not a notary in this country that hasn't heard my voice before they've taken their first order. There are some of them that I've gone over every page of the file with them before they take it. If it's their first signing, I don't care. I am different than other signing agencies, and I run my company differently. But I saw a need in this industry for a directory that gives back to the signing agent community. And I created Notary Stars. It's been a dream of mine for about 2 years. My background is websites. And while I was making this partnership with Ms. Carol, we started doing training videos, little training videos. I ran out of time. I cannot train notaries anymore live. I can't spend as much time with individual notaries as I used to. But the problem that I see in the industry, like Ms. Carol saw an educational problem. I saw a problem where there are listing sites everywhere you turn. But guess what? They're on autopilot. And I could turn Notary Stars on autopilot like that. But I will never do that. Not because I'm a control freak, like some people call me. Some people think because I talk to every notary, I'm a control freak. It's not because of that. It's because there needs to be accountability in this industry. I'm accountable. I put my face out there. I put my address out there. If I do you wrong, you know where I live. You can come get your paycheck. You can slash my tires, bust in my windows. I'm not hiding from anyone out there. And I'm also not lying. And I think that there are other training companies out there that, quote, make 6 figures. And I'm tired of this because the average notary, if there's anybody in here that makes 6 figures, good for you, but most of you will not. And it's time to be realistic about this industry and stop raising prices because you've got someone to believe in something or change things. We've gotten Notary Stars down, and believe me, there will be a small increase in price probably in the future. I can see this going up to about $25 a month, but right now we have it down to $9 a month, which is a great income to pay the people putting together the content on Notary Stars. Notary Stars is a directory. It is a directory that gives something back to the notary. It's not a complaint forum to go on and talk about companies that don't pay. It's not a place where it's not anything but notaries helping notaries. You get Joe Lopez is on here. He's posted plenty of articles that he shared of things that he's learned. We have other notaries around the country that have posted in the blog section, community blogs. Notary Stars is a kind of like a one-stop shop. And I created it because I'm tired, and I'm going to name names. If that's okay with you, Miss Carol, you can nod. But I'm tired of sites like 123 Notary that call at random and give you these tests when they're not an authority in this industry, just to keep a listing on their site and cancel your account after you've already paid. I'm tired of Notary Rotary being just a dead website that we paid $19 a month for to give us nothing back. Both of these sites are locked. You can't Google, which is where most people are getting their information. When a Notary Star signs up, their listing is released to Google as an individual listing. And it goes out and it competes with search engines. And that's where people are actually going to. Even escrow officers are going to Google. And we have escrow officers now hiring notaries off of Notary Stars. We have so much information on this site, and we're just adding to it every week. Do we have more information than the NNA? Not right now. Do we have it more than 123 Notary? Not right now, but our information is actually more important because it's relevant. It's not from a decade ago. It's not a site that's on autopilot, and there's actually real people behind the site watching what's going on. And so I wanted people to kind of see both of these platforms, because I look at Miss Carol as if you go through the Notary Stars website, and I'll be honest, I write most of the content there, and I know I don't spell that well. I try. I hire people to go behind me. But I endorse Notary2Pro as your foundation. And then I look at Notary Stars as where you're going after. We have hiring company lists that are nationwide. We have a members-only section that is for live, just like this, where you can come in and you can ask questions. There's 2 moderators during the sessions. We do live. We train live. And Miss Carol does a great job for a beautiful foundation. You could take her course and take a signing tomorrow if you graduate and you know what you're doing. Notary Stars takes what Miss Carol does, and then we're adding on to that. We're coming up with signing agent errors. We're talking about how to not fall into pitfalls, what to do in certain situations. We go over FHA loans. We go over VA loans. We go over all kinds of, and I'm going to do this mute thing again because I keep hearing that. We go over, we're going more in depth. Miss Carol does reverse mortgages, buyer's files. We're going over almost every type of file that you can have live on the screen and allowing you to ask questions. I am never going to become a certification course. I don't believe that I am capable, even with a master's in education and 11 years experience at this point, to become a certification course. I do know, as a smart businessman, that to honor those who are better than me, like Miss Carol, and help her get notaries to where they need to be. And I believe Miss Carol and Notary2Pro is a wonderful foundation, and then Notary Stars is where we need to be going as a society of notaries, like-minded individuals, and being kind to each other. I have a huge problem with notaries being mean to each other. I am a tough guy. I mean, look, I got a beard, I've got a mean face. I'm a tough guy. I'm not a wimpy man. Okay, I don't want anybody to think that, but mean is mean. And I don't want to get Taylor Swift on all of you, but we are in a new society. There is no HR department for our job. We don't have a boss that we report to, but there are still things that we need to talk about as a community and rise above those things together. And I'm so sick of notaries undercutting each other. I mean, you see it on the internet. Somebody posts one little question and it's like, oh my God, you should have known that. Well, no, you shouldn't, because you're answering from New Jersey and this person's asking in Nevada. And your states operate differently. And we've got to get to a point where we can work together without biting each other's heads off. There's nobody in this industry any better than the next, and nobody in this industry, including myself, is irreplaceable. Not to quote Beyonce, but I see people laughing, so I want to make sure people understand that Notary Stars is a platform where notaries can come together after they've gotten the education. And I'm not patient enough to start at ground zero. And it's not just not patient enough. I don't have enough time to do that because education is not my main focus. My main focus is to go after, but I want to do it honestly and realistically. And I feel like there are places on the internet right now that are misguiding people to go into this industry for the wrong reasons. And I personally did not have a background in mortgage, real estate, anything, but now I do after 11 years. In the first 4 years, I was terrified of what I was doing because I had no idea. I mean, even though someone sat me down and taught me, I still learned something every day, and I still learn things every day. Just this week, I learned something new. So that's why I wanted to bring everybody together today, because I feel like we look at these things on the internet, we wonder what they are, why are they important. I know that there are some Notary2Pro graduates here. I know that there are some people that have taken our Notary Stars. I know that there are different things going on the internet, but I wanted to make sure that everyone had a chance to kind of take a look at who we are and what we are doing differently. And what we do differently is that we're running this family style. We're running this with Miss Carol talks to her graduates. They get to know her. They call her before their first signing. They're handheld. And with Notary Stars and Unlimited Ink, my signing agency, we hold hands. And the name Unlimited Ink to me, when I changed it, I used to be called the Hollywood Notary when I was in California. And then when I moved over and started doing nationwide, they said, hey, you kind of can't be called the Hollywood Notary in New Jersey. So we rebranded and called it Unlimited Ink. And I wanted a name that represented togetherness. And my Arizona notaries and notaries in other states, when I'm there, will tell you I've tried to shake hands with everyone I can, not these days, but I try to get to know our notaries. And there are people, I've never met Miss Joan in person, but if she called me from a different number tomorrow, I would know her voice. She would know who this is. And I know notaries that know my voice when I call and I say, hey, this is Ronnie. They're like, hey, what's up? I didn't recognize the number, but I want you guys, and that's what Notary Stars is about, is coming together to work together as a community. And so I've put it together on Notary Stars. There's no way that you can miss that we endorse Notary2Pro as a foundation. It is one of the biggest stops on our success map. And I wanted to come together today with Miss Carol to bring as many people as we can together to see if there's any questions about our platforms, or how can we help you as notaries and keep your dedication and interest in our platforms, and see if you never used either one of them before, find out what you need to know about them, or at least give you enough information about it so that you can reach out to us in the future and feel comfortable about that. So I'm going to open it up. If anybody has a question, I'm going to see if I can make this little chat box where I can start reading them. I'm going to start reading from the last one. But if anybody wants to take themselves off mute and ask a question, does anybody have any questions?
I do. Hi, it's Tori.
Hi, Tori.
Hey, I'm in Las Vegas. I am a Notary2Pro graduate. I wasn't sure how to indicate that on your Notary Stars website.
So when you're a Notary2Pro graduate, did you sign up already on Notary Stars?
I didn't. I did the Notary2Pro after I signed up.
Okay, when did you graduate?
It was in February.
Okay, in February? So after you sign up, you would just need to let us know that you're a Notary2Pro graduate, and we'll add that logo to your individual listing. If you graduated before December 31st, actually I think it was November last year, you've already been added to Notary Stars. You just need to go and claim your listing, and we've actually sent those out. But if you're a new graduate, we're not importing those. You have to actually sign up. And if you want that Notary2Pro logo, we will put that on your profile, and we'll actually, you'll see the Notary2Pro logo, but you'll also have a border around yours, and you will actually go up in the search range.
Okay, so just email you?
Yeah, you just email us at contact@notarystars.com and say, hey, I'm a Notary2Pro graduate. Attach your certificate so we can verify it, and then we will boost your listing up.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Thank you. That's a great question.
Don't know if you can see me. Can you see me?
I can, Miss Galaxy Tab. What's your name?
Hi, Mary Petrie in Chicago. Do you have things in Chicago?
As a signing agency, I have signings in Chicago every so often.
Okay.
I will be honest with you, as a signing agency, we probably only have 1 to 2% of our files every month in Chicago.
Is that because it's an attorney state?
No, it's just because there's not a lot of people traveling to Chicago from here.
Okay.
But we do have signings in Chicago, and I have quite a few notaries that work for us regularly up there. But when I need a file filled, I work with great notaries, and those great notaries are sometimes busy. So if are you a Notary2Pro graduate?
Yes, I am. Probably about February also this year.
You're on our list, and so you will be notified first when we have something in that area. Because I only have
Okay, thank
3
you.
that are on auto assign. We call it automatically assign, and all other notary. And the only way to get on the auto assign is to do about 5 files for us. But you are notified when we do have signings in your area first.
Thank you.
Ronnie, I want to interject here, if I may.
Sure.
And first of all, my educational background is high school and college, so that's as far as I've gotten. So I congratulate you on your achievement. But and my siblings all have master's degrees. But this high school educated person does have some information for those of you who live in attorney states. I don't know how many we have in the audience, but I'm sure that the replays are going to bring out people from those attorney states. I want you to understand something. Do check with your Secretary of State. But we have found over the years that it's not where the, it's not, in these attorney states, it's not where the property is. It's not where the title company is, signing services are. It's where the people are. So you have someone in your area who is, let's say you're in Illinois, and you have someone who has a home in New York. They're doing a refinance with a lender who's in South Dakota and a title company in California. You can do that signing. You can handle those. And I always warn the students before they even sign up that a lot of them don't even realize that they're in an attorney state and have no idea what the implications for that are. So I just want anybody who knows out there that you can do those signings and you can do them legally. You can also contact the attorneys who do these things, because most of them don't do the notary stuff. They hire people to do, to actually be involved in the transactions.
This is Rhonda. And I'm in Texas. We're a notary state, I believe, because from what you're saying, we're a notary state. I mean, an attorney state, is what I'm trying to say.
So are we,
I'm in Dallas, North Dallas and Plano. And, you know, I was going to ask him, you know, being in Texas, does he do a lot of signings here? Because I've discovered that in our little part of the woods, which is very sophisticated and has a lot of worldwide companies, the title companies from back east and everything tend to not use us as much as they do their own notaries. You know, and I think they're beginning to use Ron Notary in a place of ours. Maybe. Any comment on that?
I do have a comment on
Texas
that.
is moving up.
So
Texas is moving up their RON use.
yeah, I just saw a comment here that they're going to be moving up in Arizona as well to May 1st, and I'll have to verify that. But right now, I do believe that they're trying to use RON as much as possible with COVID-19 going on. I've seen lots of emails from lenders and title agencies, but we are still going strong. It looked like we got slower, but actually we did more business this month than we did the last month before that. So we're going to go through waves, and we're doing business a different way right now. For Texas, I find it one of the hardest states to work with as a signing agency. When we have a property that's not located in Texas, it's very easy. We just send the paperwork to the notary and do it. So I would tell you as a signing agent to get signed up with as many companies as you can that are nationwide. And that means you're going to be doing properties that are not located, because there's a lot of people in Texas that own property in other states.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be closing properties from other states. For Texas, you are right. There are a lot of notaries that they use. And because from what I've learned, and we're actually courting a client right now. I won't say who they are, but one of their biggest to-dos is Texas. And we've been told that they're a brick and mortar state, meaning they sign in the title agency. And
Well, unless like I have access to an attorney's conference room. So
Right.
I'm advertising that because that's a bonus. I mean, they'll pay $50 to get a conference room around here.
right.
Ronnie, the only transactions that, and I hate to keep interrupting, but as things come up, I hope you don't mind. The only transactions in Texas, because we have a ton of students in Texas and they're doing great, are the ones that are where the borrowers are getting cash out.
Okay.
So
Okay,
The
like,
next company that we're trying to do is a refinance company. And they want us to be able to have brick and mortar partnerships with notaries who have access to brick and mortar to do those.
So
We are-
that would help me then, since I have the attorney office access.
oh, yes.
Yes.
It's on my profiles that I'm putting out, but I don't know.
And
was
I can
told
tell
that
you the
they'll-
company, it's a big company. If you send me an email, and please don't everyone unless you're in Texas, if you send me an email saying, hey, what's the company that you're courting from Texas that you're trying to get, I can tell you the company that currently services them. I don't endorse them at all. I don't think they're a great company, and there's a reason why they're conversating with us to see if we can compete with them, because they're having a lot of problems and they don't treat their notaries very well. But I can tell you who they are so you can work with them until hopefully maybe one day we take over the account.
Okay, I'll do
I have
that.
a question.
But I
Let
want to
me
make
ask you.
sure. Go ahead.
In Illinois, they just talked about remote notaries, about
Mhm.
doing things remotely. What is that about? Where we would be a remote notary?
Remote online notarization is, and I'm not going to skip by it. It is a conversation for another day, and I'm hoping to do that conversation soon.
Very soon, please.
Yes, it is going to turn things around for us a little bit. I want to have that conversation with my Las Vegas notaries on the line that can comment because they're already doing it.
Like
And they can give us
DocuSign and Docu.loop, right? It'd be through DocuSign and .loop possibly?
I am not well versed on remote
Okay.
online notarization at this point because I've never done it, but I do have notaries that do it for us.
Okay.
And so what I would love to do is bring those notaries to actually lead the meeting, because I don't want to misguide anyone on that. And I can get that as a schedule on Notary. That would be actually a great topic for Notary Stars.
Exactly, because that's the preferred way of notarizing in Illinois right now.
Yeah.
And Texas is going to it.
Yeah.
They're being carried by the older notaries, and I can say that being one. They're being carried kicking and screaming into the wrong age. But it's coming, whether the older ones like it or not. And I did a closing the other day for a 30s professional, and I mentioned that at some point, I was getting my e-notary, and I said, but it's coming slow. And she says, well, it's the way that we do things now. And she says, if the older notaries don't like it, they can quit.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to be an attitude for professionals nowadays.
I do want to interject if I may. Did you have something, Ron, you wanted to add, or because
I'll wait till after you. I mean, mine was very short, but I won't. It's something I told you about this earlier. So
okay, just for those of you who have not followed this, and in fact, I have a pretty interesting story. Several years ago, a company came to me, the creators of the software, and they were working in the state of Virginia, which was the closest. That was the only state really that was accepting or close to accepting it. And they flew out, demonstrated their software to me, because I've been against it for years, especially when it comes to people being under duress when signing. You don't want to have that happen. So as a matter of fact, they showed me the software, myself and my husband. They wanted my endorsement on it, mostly just for me to keep my mouth shut. But they did want my graduates to start the program. And at that time, they were only doing documents. In fact, I had to use them at one point in time for something Arizona needed. So for the last 3 years, they haven't been doing loan signings. They have strictly been doing just documents. People could call up in Pennsylvania, they could call up Virginia and get a notary online, face-to-face, to notarize, a deed or some affidavit or something, a letter, if they needed it. And it was a really great process when I had to have it done, because I didn't have any notaries that lived around me. It was a pleasant experience. But then they started getting into the loan signing stuff, which I knew eventually they would. And now I think you're not going to find that everybody wants to do that. There are a lot of people in this country that are baby boomers, like myself, born in World War II, and they're not going to want to go for that. They're either going to want to go to a place and be in a bank or be in a title office or have a professional come to their home and do this. Mm-hmm. This idea of being on the computer and handling documents that are that important it's just not going to happen. I've talked to just so many people about it.
Can I say something on top of that?
Course.
At the rate that we are getting signings, usually same day, there's no way for them to get verified in 24 hours in order to do a RON signing, because you have to be verified in order to do the signing. And these questions that they get to do the RON signing, they have to go in and put in an ID and answer all these questions. Like when you apply for a credit card, what street did you live on? A lot of these people are failing, so that these questions that they don't remember the answers to. And like Ms. Carroll said, there's going to be a lot of people that don't. And then, I have mixed feelings on it, but also I do know that these platforms are insanely expensive right now. They're not going to go as fast. I mean, with COVID-19, they're paying whatever. They just need the loans to go through. And I know that there's people pushing RON right now. I went to the conference for Miami. It's still, and I don't want to make this about RON. This is a whole nother topic that we should, have a conference on. But I do believe that it's further off in the future than we think. It's scary to think about it coming up. I don't think anybody should not be interested in it and get it as soon as it comes.
Yes.
But I think it's going to backfire on the lending industry more than they think, because, and I will tell you this too, it works in both ways, because you have to have more than one perspective. This weekend I had a signing. It's a seller signing, 25 pages, 6 miles from the notary. We put it out at $100 and they said $150. We put it out again, the same notary, and it went to all 15 notaries, 6 miles from the notary for $100, 25 pages. We made it very clear in the instruction what they were doing. They're available. They said $150. Then they came back at $175. And the title officer literally came into our program and said, "Thank you for letting us know what your price is. We are sending this to get done electronically." Just so that they would let the notary know $100 is a very fair fee for 25 pages. And that's another thing that notaries need to be aware of, is that pricing yourself out of the market is going to be pushing that into RON. And so I understand if you're in a remote area, you may think I can set my fees, but you may need to rethink that if you're further out now, because now if you're further out, if you overquote, I mean, when somebody tells me I have to go 50, 60, 70 miles to that and I need $200, I can get that, or even more than that. But when you're 6 miles from the location, just because you're in a remote location, they're going to put them on the internet. And that's where those notaries are going to hurt the most. Inner-city notaries, I think, are going to hurt less. Those who have mobile printers, mobile scanners, can turn it around, get it back. underwriters have allowed Ron to be pushed up until COVID-19 is over. Most of them are still against it. So I think we're going to see a wave of getting a taste of it, but I don't think it's going to be the new norm.
So you think this is a fad you think it's going to pass?
No, it's not.
I think it'll be mixed.
Yeah, it's just not happening as fast as they hope it will happen.
It's like Uber and Lyft, okay? Uber and Lyft come around and taxis complained, and Uber and Lyft seems like it's the new norm, but if you look around your city, there's still taxis.
Can I say something?
Absolutely. Anybody can say anything.
I didn't want to interrupt. As you know, I was a realtor for a very long time. And when I started, we didn't even have computers. Everything was handwritten. And then along came DocuSign. And oh my gosh, people were just crazy about what's going to happen with DocuSign. And it took a while. It was an adjustment for most people. Some people liked it better than others, but it was not used all the time, but there were instances when it was very beneficial. And I know it's a little bit offline of what the notarizations are, but it's related, I think. And it's just an adjustment of getting used to change.
And
You know,
change is
Miss Joan, if you don't,
a lot of people, you know, I signed a notary 2 hours the other day for an 80-year-old man. Well, he had to read to understand the piece of paper. He could not have done it remotely if his life depended on it.
I am so sorry. That's me.
And then there's that 30-something professional who says, do it or die, you know. So I think that maybe the professionals, and it's going to work better in urban areas. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
And Miss Joan, I want to say one thing. You know, all of you who know me know I'm a big dork, and if there's a certification out there, I'm going to take it. I'm going to study to be a loan officer later this year, but I've been doing my realtor, and I've been interviewing companies that I could hang my realtor's license with. And they actually told me about the change from, you know, paper to DocuSign, and they still have a problem with it right now.
Ronnie, mute everybody.
Okay.
There's a way of raising our hands in the chat window, and I don't know how to do it. Does anybody know how to do that? Joe, how about?
I muted everybody, but then unmuted Miss Carol again.
Yeah, there's a way of them raising their hand. I'll see if I can figure this out.
Getting back to what I was saying to Miss Joan, I went and interviewed companies that had places I might, because I'm going to be living between Tucson and here because of the business, and I interviewed a company that would allow me to hang my license in Ahwatukee that would allow me to have both cities. And I don't expect to have much time to be a realtor, but I'm that guy. Like if there's a certification, you know, I'm going to do it. And they informed me that there is still a problem here with getting realtors to be able to use DocuSign properly, and they don't want to use it. They rather do it a different way. So I kind of see there being, you know, we have to go through everybody getting their electronic notarization, everybody learning how to use it, everybody being on board with it. And then there's like 6 different platforms to use right now that are the main ones. And then if you're not signed up with all 6, I mean, it just becomes so complicated. Even having 2 would be complicated. Having 6, and then that underwriter has to approve that platform, and everybody has to get more approved. I think it's going to be a congestion traffic jam, and it's going to slow things down. And I don't think most underwriters want
that. Ron, I'm not muted. Listen, I was going to type something, but I'll say it now. If you want us to unmute you, if you have something to say, just type the word chat me in the chat window, and I'll let Ronnie know to unmute you.
Perfect. So I want to kind of move on from Ron and not to skip over it. I think that would be a great session. And I actually know someone that we can bring, actually a couple of people that we can bring into this conversation that would be great experts on this. I don't ever want to claim to be an expert on something when I'm not. And I think it would be a great conversation for us to have with people who are advocating for it and people who are opposing it. I think that it would be great to bring in this many people on the conversation and listen to them talking about the pros and the cons and what we can expect and how to go. I think that would be a great, and I'll get that scheduled within the next 30 days. I'll see what I can do. Can't promise I can get both parties to show up, but I do know people who are both advocates and people who are opposing it and strongly opposing it. So it would be great to get those people together and come to talk to us as the notaries who are caring about our jobs, logging in on a Saturday at 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That would be another great session.
I have a graduate who is now their training and compliance manager for Notarize.
Mm-hmm.
She was one of those beginning Virginia notaries. And now I'll see if she'd like to come along too and talk about training. We're setting that up at Notary2Pro too. I've got some people involved and I'm trying to get that added. But
I think that would be great.
Because everybody's, whoa, what is it? What is it?
Yep. And I think it's something that the only way to get comfortable with something is to talk about it, learn about it the most that we can.
Well, I want to stay in business. So my first thought is this going to take over?
I think everyone who's on this call will stay in business. I don't believe that people who want to do something, I've been in business for 11 years and things have changed since I've been in business. When I started, there were no applications to get signings from. There was a phone call, and that means you had to call that company and fax them your documents. Fax, yep, fax. You had to fax them over your information, and the internet was there, but websites just existed. They didn't do anything back then. There was no uploading and downloading from a website. Like 10 years, 11 years has really changed everything, and I'm not scared of changes. I know that they're going to be there, but the only thing that we can be assured of is that everything changes.
I'm going to interject a couple of other things. If you want to be unmuted, because thank you, if I can get that, there's a lot of talking going on. Thanks to Sebastian Lopez in Texas. If they click on the participants button, you look down at the bottom of your screen and you open that window, then there's a button there that you can click. So I want to address one other thing. They say, somebody said here that they're paid, that it's $25 a signing, but I can tell you that the notary only gets $5, and that's for just general documents. Okay.
I don't think that will last on a loan signing.
No. It'll be different fees, but.
Yeah.
Carol, can you repeat what you just said?
Yes, when they do remote signings for just general documents, they charge the customer $25. What the notary is paid is $5. Okay,
so we're almost at an hour's time now, and I want to get off the topic of Ron, kind of circle back. I definitely want us to table a conversation for Ron for the future. But I want to thank everybody who came out today. And if you are not a Notary2Pro graduate, I really want you to take a look at what Notary2Pro has to offer. Talk to other Notary2Pro graduates if you're not able to find them. We have Facebook groups, Notary Stars, as well as Miss Carol. Miss Carol, what's the name of your Facebook group officially?
Well, we have one called Notary Professionals, and then
Notary
I have one
professionals.
that's just for my graduates, which is
Yeah.
this big. And
Yeah.
are you going to show us what Notary Stars is all about?
Yes, I mean, I can take you through really quick. Let me get this little thing off the screen because I just used the eraser. So here we go, the mouse. I'm already logged in, so let me get this, let me do the screen share here. Okay, are you able to see my screen here? Are you able to see the screen?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah, anybody.
Anybody? Yeah, I can see it. I was
Okay.
answering some emails here or some things here.
So if you haven't been to Notary Stars yet, this is kind of how the site works, or not kind of, this is exactly how it works. You're able to come in and create a listing. And these listings, and you'll see if you're, depending on where you are, if you're a Notary2Pro graduate, it'll give you that Notary2Pro logo. We do send you an email when you sign up that lets you know how to properly fill out your profile. There's still people that don't put in their profile photos. I do believe that it works better when you have a profile photo and you're able to kind of click on the listing and send a message and write reviews. So I want to explain something about Notary Stars. These listings that are in here, you don't actually have to come to Notary Stars in order to find them. And I'm going to go to Google. My listing, of course, is the oldest because I use myself as a test. So if I was looking for a notary in 85013, of course, we have our Google My Business that comes up first. But when you start looking for anything that comes up on a notary, here I am on the first page of Google with my Notary Star listing. So that's proof. And it does take time for when you enter your listing to start coming up, because anything you enter in on the internet takes 4 to 6 to 8 weeks to show up. But the more information that you put into your listing helps get it up into the search engines. And then, of course, you need to link your social media, anything that you can to your profile, because Google loves to be social. So I'm very proud that our listings are not confined to being on Notary Stars. You don't have to come to the website itself to get hired from a title agency or someone in the general public looking for a notary. The next thing is that if you're not available, then they are able to come on and book a notary on our website, and then we can send it out to you. There is a fee for us to book the notary. And so like it comes on and it's done by state and the state pricing, how much they want. And then we will offer that out to the notaries. And we actually don't charge their card until a notary has been scheduled. We get more bookings, people trying to book direct, because you guys get the full fee and we push that more. But if they're in a pinch and they need to book a notary, we will allow them to book a notary or book a loan signing agent. We have our success map here, which is ever growing, and it tells you kind of how to get to the level that most notaries want to be. And it's a step-by-step process, 1, 2, 3. It's a document that you can print out. You can check off the marks. Did I do this? Did I do that? Then we have our free training videos that are on the site. You can go through these, and they are in succession by page. Those are free to the website, and they're also on our app, which if you don't know, we have an app in the App Store. You can download Notary Stars. It's got the NNA rescission calendar. It's got everything that Notary Stars has on it. You can keep it on the table with you. We're working on a glossary of terms, those sorts of things. We have our members only section. When we do live events, which I'm not going to click on because it'll show you the live events, these are for paid members only. For the live events, our site is $9 a month for live events. If you want to be a participant in those, which I think is absolutely an amazing price for live training. We do everything from technology to different types of files. We just did reverse mortgages. We borrowed a video from Ms. Carol to pre-watch and then did reverse mortgages. We are doing interviews with Ms. Carol. We're doing them with escrow officers. We're doing them with notaries on how to work together. It's a plethora of information. But in our members only section, we did our notary boot camp this year, which went over the 4 major types of files that notaries come in contact with. We've done FHA loans. We've done reverse mortgages here. We have little secrets that we post, and it keeps going on. We have our tech talks, print checklist. We go over, how to print documents properly, signing agent errors. And then our calendar for live events, you click on that and it takes you there. We have our notary resources, which we keep adding to. You notice the first thing that you see is Notary2Pro is the only trading program endorsed by Notary Stars, which it is. And as long as I'm alive, that will all it will be. And then we have products that you can divulge into that I myself, I don't even know. I think I took it out. I don't know if I took it out of the car. Yeah, it's in my car. So this printer that's on the screen right here, I take it out in Arizona when it gets a little too warm and I bring it back inside. But that printer fits inside of a Postmate bag, which I do have the bag here because I'm not using it right now. That printer fits in this bag. And you can see how easy that is for me to carry into a signing. And the scanner on there literally fits in the palm of your hand, but we'll scan 30 pages. We are looking at products that you can use and that are low cost and that you can enhance your listings with. Then we have our hiring companies list, which I'm very proud of. That's actually brought in the most. I actually just took a screenshot of me scrolling through the hiring companies and put it on Instagram. And we had more followers and more signups that week than I've ever seen just from the hiring list. I actually work for these companies outside of owning a signing agency. So I know that they all have nationwide business. I've tried to put a little tip in green, a little red warning label on them. There's no rating. It just lets you know what program that they use and how they can review you if they have a system to do that and how to operate with them best. So I give little hints and tricks on those, and I'm constantly adding to them. There is a link up at the top that says, if you want to add a signing agency or a title agency that is nationwide that's not on the list, add it so you can help other notaries. Then we have our community blogs here, which we keep adding to. We add stuff from Ms. Carol's list there. And then other notaries are going in and adding blogs on there about things that they learn. We do review them before they go live to make sure that they're pertinent information. We are not a review site for companies about, oh, they didn't pay me. You can learn all of that from the other complaint forums. We only are putting companies on our website that are good for notaries. If it's not a good place, then just don't be there. I do have a blacklist that maybe one day I'll publish. It's about 25 companies that will not pay you or will not be worth your time. But we're also having conversations and we're going further with the education. And I'll give this as an example. I actually told Ms. Carol this morning, I said, there are a few Notary2Pro graduates that I won't use because after they realize how much money they can make, they become what I call diva notary. And they get this chip on their shoulder of every signing agency in the world is terrible, or, I'm better than every notary, so you better choose me. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I can't deal with that. And so we talk about attitude. We just did a series called Netiquette on how to work with each other and how to work with title agencies and how to talk on the phone. So we're going over different educational topics that aren't just about being a great signing agent. It's also about being a great business owner and giving you the tool that you need, which is connecting to Google, the most powerful search engine in the country, or in the world, actually. Putting you in touch and putting you on the first page of that. And I'm very proud of that. My background is, building websites and SEO. I'm not the best speller in the world, but I can make things happen. And I would love to see more Notary2Pro graduates on Notary Stars. I would love to be talking. And one of the other things that we're doing is we just started general mentorship. So twice a month, we're going to be having live sessions like this where you can come in and ask any question. My goal is to have that every week, or if I have my way, out of the 4.5 million notaries, if we get 500,000 notaries on there, I'd love to have it every day. You know, helping each other in a positive way, not afraid to talk, and not biting each other's heads off. I can't stand these Facebook groups and these support systems where they go in and the notary asks one question and they bite their heads off. It's ridiculous. And so that's basically what Notary Stars is about. I mean, you can join. We keep adding things to Notary Stars. We keep trying to make it more navigatable. And what I love is that we put it in the pocket of the notary. You now have an app where you can train in your car. We are working, and I always say when we have something coming that, not to do it, but we are working on a chat app that when you're logged into our app, if you're at a problem at a table and you need support from another Notary Star, you would be able to get that right from your phone in a live chat 24 hours a day. There will be someone there to help. And now that's coming. That's not here yet, but it's already a feature that we have the ability to do. I just don't know when we're going to release that, because there has to be enough active members for it to logistically work. So we are getting close to that number that I want, to have people have this in their pocket and say, hey, I'm in trouble. I need help. And there'll be someone there to help you. Whether it be someone on this chat today, myself, or Miss Carol, or anyone, it come up and it be a chat app where, and when your question gets answered, it'll be answered for everyone. So that's coming. And I think that's going to be very important. We stand much stronger when we're united, and not to sound cheesy, but that's true. We see, I'm trying to create in the notary community the same movement we've had for women in the last year. We've made leaps and bounds for women in society, speaking up and saying, hey, you can't treat me that way. I'm trying to create that in the notary community as well. As individuals, I feel like we have got to start working together and supporting each other, and stop throwing each other under the bus, and stop looking at each other like we're competition, and stop looking at each other like we're better than each other. We need to look at each other like we are all equals. We're all on the same boat. We're all trying to do the same job, and we're all trying to do it the best, and we're all trying to feed ourselves. And there's no reason for us not to work together and be united together.
Ronnie, I want to make a couple of comments, if I may. First of all, there's some people out there that would like the answers to some of the things that we've talked about.
Sure.
So I think we should open it up for discussion. But also I would like to tell everybody here, especially my graduates and any other NSAs out there, that when you're signing up with companies to try to get work, I want to put this the right way. The traditional companies that we've had for years, one in particular, and I'll just say it, 123 Notary, those of us who have been in the industry for a long time have seen a pattern of things that are coming from them. I have had graduates who've had their listings that they've paid for be removed because they didn't want to speak on the phone at 9 or 10 o'clock at night and answer questions on an exam that had to be done right that minute. The resources that Ronnie is coming up with, I'm very impressed. And he's got training in there. I'm not a bit intimidated because that training is not what I do. We've talked about it before, he and I'm the foundation. I get people going. I get them certified with a certification that is now not only accepted, but really sought after all over the country, which I'm very proud of. But it's people like Ronnie who's stepping up the game and plummeting you into something that's even better than just getting along and doing a good job. It's accelerating what you can do for yourself to make more money, to get more business.
And I
so
think the thing that makes us different, Miss Carol, is that I don't feel like either one of us misguide notaries.
No,
This is a
honest.
job, and it's work. It requires signing up for multiple companies. It requires continuing your education. I'm just also over the whole 6 figures, make 6 figures. Like, that doesn't help me. What helps me is learning and knowing and being proud of my job and doing it right. And that's why people call me. And that's what I'm trying to share with people. And that's what I love about you is I've never heard you once say, I've heard you say you can make a lot of money, and I've heard you say, I have a notary in this area that makes a lot of money and they're busy. And I love hearing that. But when you get to naming how much a person can make in this industry, it's determined by so many more factors, even more than education. It's determined by marketing. It's determined by who you know. It's determined by how much you're willing to work. For instance, some of us may not need 6 figures at all. Some of us may not, to be honest, if I wasn't married to the most beautiful man in the world and the smartest neuroscientist, I don't know if I would care how much money I make right now. I work because we have a grand life together, but I could be happy in a studio apartment in the middle of LA making $5,000 a month and only paying $1,800. I'd have plenty of money left over. Everybody has a different value, and don't get drawn into these companies that make you forget that this is a real job, a real career, something to be proud of. And that's what I love about Miss Carol is I don't feel like she's preaching this 6 figures. She's giving you, I go back to the saying, and I've said it on many videos, you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. You teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. And I feel like Miss Carol teaches you how to fish. She gives you what you need to do this job that no one can ever take away from you once you know how to do it right. And that's why I love Miss Carol and I love her program.
Well,
because it's teaching people to fish. It's not feeding them a fish. I can show you in 30 minutes how to do a loan signing, give them you the package, and you could go do it for me. I can take 20%. Great. But she will teach you how to do it where no one can take it away from you.
One of the things I have a problem with is when I get a new student and they'll say, well, I want to go direct. I want to go right to the title companies. And everybody out there, you're going to make it one of these days, but you better be patient. Get some experience under your belt. Get to be well known. Build up a repertoire of signing services. Listen, I bless signing services. When I first started this after retirement, that was the only way you went. And they were the ones that put the bread and butter on my table by hiring me. And I will never forget that. There's some bad ones out there. Let them do what they do. They're going to not have good notaries that are going to stay with them. But I want my students to understand it's not easy. It takes hard work, and you have to build up your reputation. Then you're ready to start going to the big boys. And then you better be prepared to do everything they want you to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's legal.
Ronnie, can I ask you a question?
Yes, Miss Julie.
Hi, how are you, by the way?
Good, how are you?
Thank you guys. I'm so good, and it's a delight, actually, being here with you and Carol this afternoon, and thank you for your time. I'm just curious, some of us didn't know about you, and some of us didn't know about Miss Carol, so some of us went to other signing companies to learn how to become signing agents. And I'm just curious, I so love your vibe, and what you're about. Do you welcome notaries that aren't graduates yet from Miss Carol's Notary2Pro. Do you welcome notaries that haven't been trained by her to join your Notary Stars?
Yes, so Notary Stars is open up to every program. Notary2Pro is the only one that I endorse. Okay, so you can continue your education on Notary Stars. You will still be encouraged at some point to go to Notary2Pro. I know that there's a lot of companies out there that train, and I don't know what company you trained with. And let's not talk about them because we're talking about two different brands, and that's rude. And I'm very
I don't want to talk about them.
I only endorse Notary2Pro because I know Notary2Pro, and I've looked at a lot of other training courses and used their graduates, but personally, I've seen the proof in the pudding of what I'm getting back and the direction, and I want to pull in more like-minded people. And I love that you say you love the vibe, because depending on what course you took before, I've sat in on meetings for other courses, and I'm like, wow, this is vibing too much. And I'm a busy guy, you know,
Right.
like I did 5 signings today.
Yeah.
Now I'm doing this. You know, I talked to Miss Carol. I got up at 5 this morning. I get up really early. I mean, my husband's a neuroscientist. He's one of the smartest people I've ever met. And he sleeps till 10:30 on Saturdays and then writes research papers about people's brains and how chemicals go through their bodies. I can't do that, but I can move, I can shake, I can print documents, I can do things.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't have to go out in the field anymore, but my vibe is different when it comes to learning. I slow it down and I talk a lot, and I want other people to talk. And that's one of the things that comes from being an educator, is that I know that there's different ways to learn. I've had notaries where I've had to sit down and be like, okay, this is an occupancy statement, and this is what it means. And that's what I'm trying to do on the internet as well. You know, I'll be honest, and Ms. Carol, I know that Ms. Carol's program is the best out there. But I have one of her graduates right now in Notary Stars who just doesn't get it. But she's starting to, because it's a different way. She asks a lot more questions. And she's done the Notary2Pro. I think the problem with her is she's afraid of her own shadow. And I feel like the combination of Miss Carol giving her that foundation and us bringing out the sunlight makes her less afraid of her shadow, because the shadow gets smaller and smaller. And I don't expect her to stop with Notary Stars. I hope that she will continue her education in other programs as well. I believe if there's any mentor out there that tells you you can't go to several programs, that you got the wrong mentor. I just told you I'm a dork. I got 2 degrees, a master's degree, and then I continue to learn. I've got in on other courses. Never stop learning. But there is a way to slow it down and be realistic about learning.
I'm actually certified through 3 different ones. So I'm really liking a lot, so much that you're saying. I mean, I'm an A personality, and I'm not really, and I can do, but I also don't run on that I don't even know how to explain it. I know we're on the same page with some things in our conversation that we're not saying. So anyway, thank you for letting me know that.
Hi, this is Frida Mack from New York. I started doing mobile notary about 18 years ago. I did my program with NNA. I don't feel like I learned anything. I found out about Notary2Pro. I took that course, and there's no looking back. There is nothing like it. Like you had said earlier, Carol will hold your hand. She walks you through the program. The documents that she feeds to you, she highlights every word. I mean, it does not take a brain surgeon to learn this. through Carol's program. If you've got 3 other programs that you're signed up for, you're looking in the wrong direction. You're wasting your money, and I say put your money on Carol's program and be done with it, and you will have nothing else to worry about.
Oh, Frida.
It's the truth. It's the truth. I mean, when I signed up, I did, like I said, NNA, I did everything that they told me to do. But when I signed up for your program, it was every page that I turned was an aha moment, because I had the information that the NNA gave me, but the information that Carol gave me makes so much more sense and was so correct. There's nothing like it. So anybody that's on this call that's not signed up, I suggest you do so. Otherwise, you're wasting your time.
Thank you, Frida. Love you.
Love you more.
So we are a little bit over an hour now, and I appreciate Miss Frida speaking up. I see a lot of people getting teary-eyed, not just Miss Carol, and that's okay, because I look at this as a family, and I think we should laugh together. We should cry together. We should have bad days together. I can't tell you how many notaries. I don't know if Miss Allison's on the call that works here in Arizona, but I've been on the phone with her and almost cried with her nights over signings. I don't feel like we should not be like this all the time with each other. And I hope that you guys will come back and for Notary Stars and for Notary2Pro. If you're not a Notary2Pro, look into it, read about it, get into one of the programs, talk to people about it. The biggest perk that I can tell you about Notary2Pro is I know, and I'm not the only company that gives preference to Notary2Pro graduates, because even if they've never done a signing. So if I'm looking in a bind and I see that Notary2Pro logo and I can verify that certification, which a lot of programs allow you to upload it, then I'm going to hire that graduate. And then I also feel like with Notary Stars, I'm looking for some support from the notary community. I want to change our industry, and I need help doing that. You know, we need notaries on there. One of the biggest problems we have right now is we have about 3,500 members, and we're getting inquiries every day now from title companies and individual notaries, and there's not enough notaries on the website, so I got to get it more populated. It would be very easy for me to go out and get a database of notaries and just import them and just take a commission off of everything. But I don't want to do that. I want a living, organic website. I want a real input website. I want a real live person on the other side getting the job. I don't want to automate it. I want to make it alive. I want to do what these other websites are not doing. And I want to bring the notary community together. I want to have conversations like this. And I don't want to always lead the conversations. I want to bring notaries together to help answer these questions and find the best way to do it. Maybe I'll just moderate it, but I'd never want to hide my face behind that screen of Notary Stars. I never want to abandon my Notary Stars, and I definitely don't want to call you while you're in grocery shopping at Walmart and give you some stupid test that doesn't matter. You know, I don't want to do that to the notary community. I want to be there, but I also want to be there for people who are investing in education like Notary2Pro, because I can't start from the beginning. And that's what Miss Carol does, is she can take someone who's never done this and make them a great loan signing agent. I don't feel like I can do that. Not at this point in my career, and I've been doing it 11 years. I can share my experiences with you, and I can bring you together to share your experiences. And that's where we kind of differ and bleed together really well, is because she starts that diamond in the rough and makes it a diamond, and then I think I just bring some sunlight to that. And I think that's That's the harder job, is to make the diamond, bring that diamond out. Anybody can bring sunshine, but we work together well that way.
And Ronnie, how much are you charging? It's like $9 a month or something.
$9.
Notary Stars. Let me tell you something. When I lived in Arizona, in Sun City, Old People Village, I paid $700 a year to have a listing 4th place on 123 Notary. And when we went through that horrible thing in 2007, you know, the prime thing, he doubled our fees, and we had no work.
Miss Carol, have you ever seen his face?
No.
Okay, that's the problem I have with these websites. If you can't, here's a big red flag. If you can't find what that person looks like or where they live, do not invest your money in them, because you cannot find them. So that's the first red flag of all websites out there. If you don't know who owns it and you can't talk to them, then you should not give them money. Now, if you can talk to them, and you can, there's swindlers in the world too. So you got to be careful about those people.
Yeah.
But your first red flag is not being able to see someone's face. You can even find the CEO of Delta Airlines face. You can find the CEO of any company's face. Maybe they're not as vocal. Some of them are. Different company owners run different. But if you don't know what someone looks like, don't give them your money.
There was something else I was going to say. Oh, yeah. Can we stay an extra 10 minutes just to answer questions?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
But I need a little bit more tea. Is it okay if I fill my glass up with tea and you start answering?
Yeah, somebody go ahead and raise their hand.
I'm sitting here with this window open in the Arizona heat, and my mouth is dry.
Yeah, I just wanted to say what Frida said. I'd like to duplicate everything she said, because I took a couple of classes to get to learn how to do this. Even though I have the real estate background, I still needed to learn the notary side. And I took two different trainers, maybe 3, before I came to you. And you made me feel so comfortable. I just felt like you were family. You treated me like family. And it was a warm feeling, and it was the best training that I got. And with Ronnie, I feel like he is so energetic. He's authentic and sincere and honest. He's got a magnetic personality about himself. He's encouraging and comfortable. He's transparent. I believe what we see is what he is. He shows his true self. He's consistent and supportive. I just think both of you make such a good couple. Maybe couple is not a right word, but a team. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And I think that both of us, we've learned in our life. He learned it early in his life. It took me a little longer. Just be yourself. And that's one of the biggest pieces of advice that I have for my students.
I don't think he heard what I said about him.
Just being authentic, and that's it. Just being your authentic self.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Because otherwise people will know. They won't have confidence in you. From the moment you walk into their door, they're going to go, whoa, who's this person?
Right.
And that signing is not going to go well.
But I think you and Ronnie make such a good team. And I don't think he heard what I said about him when he was gone.
I didn't.
Did you hear what she said? She said really nice things about you.
I did.
Well, thank you.
I had like 12 or 15 good things I said about you, Ronnie.
I don't want to interrupt the conversation, but I appreciate compliments, but I don't take them very well. I'm just a guy who believes in something, and I appreciate compliments, but I'm never going to feel adequate in this life. I'm one of those people who are always trying to become a better person. So whatever you said, thank you, but I really am not doing this for compliments or money, or else I'd be charging a lot more for the site.
No, and I didn't think you ever did. I
Yeah.
just, that's why I said all those things that I don't want to take the time to say it again. But I could email you.
I just want people to get the support they need. It's time in this industry. It's time for someone to take the responsibility to review things, look at things, talk about things. I would love to tell you things that I don't believe in, but I've been sent cease and desist letters, as Ms. Carroll said earlier. I'm loud. I've been sent cease and desist letters to not talk about things I don't believe in. So let's just put it this way. If Ms. Carroll and I talk about something and we point you in that direction, it's probably a good thing. If we don't talk about it at all, it's because someone's attorney says we're hurting their business. And that we should be quiet. And I'll find a way around that in life at some point. Ms. Carroll will tell you, I have a way with words. I will find a way to tell you where not to go without saying it, but I'm not allowed to tell you the things that I don't believe in life because that's a law, or people think it's law, and I don't want to get caught up in all of that. But it's just time for all of us to come together. You know, that's it. We have to come together. We have to be in control. I don't want to be the controller of Notary Stars. I just want to provide the platform for you guys to be in control of it. We've got to control that conversation. We've got to control the education. We've got to band together. And that's what that site's about, is coming together. And you don't have to pay for it. Only the live sessions are what people pay for, and that's $9 a month. And there's at least 5 sessions live a month, a minimum. We're doing more. You can have a free listing and it's just as beneficial. But the live community is what I'm really looking for. That's what you pay for, is the live community. It takes time for me. It takes time for Heather. It takes time for Ms. Carroll. It takes time for everybody that's on that site that comes in and does an interview. It takes money to run the site. You know, as we keep growing, it costs more to keep the site on the internet. And I won't be able to do all of it once we get to the level that I want to go to. So that's just a small fee to get the live portion. The rest of the site is free. The hiring list, I don't charge you for that. I don't charge you for the notary blogs. I don't charge you for notary resources. Everything's unlocked. The only thing you pay for on Notary Stars is the live. The live mentorship, the live training, the live recreation of files. It takes a lot to take a file and put one screen up and then recreate that file to look exactly the same, only with no loan numbers or anything on another screen. That's about 2.5 weeks worth of work that I have to pay someone. You see all those characters in a loan signing. That's not easy to recreate.
I love you, Ronnie, but you talk a lot.
I know.
I think that we should answer some questions. You want to go in the chat room and take a look?
Yes. So we're in the Zoom group chat, correct?
Yeah. Yes. And in the meantime, by the way, we're going to be doing another short video on how to handle these curbside illegal signings. We're going to do that soon, aren't we?
Hold on, you asked me to read. I can't read and listen at the same time.
Okay. No multitasking, huh?
I feel like you know, in Arizona, we have a lot of sun. I feel like I keep trying to dodge the sunlight. We have a question that says, I'm a notary in Louisiana. I'm now just really diving into notary world. I just want to make sure that I understand correctly. Ms. Carroll offers a class to certify notaries to do mortgage closings. And Ronnie has a website that helps people find local notaries and also closing companies find notaries in their area and certify them to do closings, correct? Yes. Ms. Carroll really teaches you how to do the loan signing. We offer training as well that's beneficial after you've taken her course. It can kind of help you go further in your career. And this is a directory where you can list and get hired, and then also find other companies that will hire you on our website. And that was from Miss Marisol in Louisiana.
Louisiana is the hardest state. Louisiana, with the rules and the parishes and all of this, it's very difficult for the people in Louisiana.
Oh, I see Russ Kim is on this call. I don't mean to interrupt, but hey, Russ. Russ works for me up in the northern area. He wanted to say hey to Miss Carol, but I'm going to say hey to him because he's a great notary. I never have to worry about anything with Mr. Russ. He said hello to you, by the way, Miss Carol. He didn't say hello to me, but I had to say hello to him for saying hello to you.
This is going to sound ridiculous, but he's one of my children.
We have a question here from Washington, D.C. It doesn't tell me who the notary is, but it says, can you speak on which printer is best to buy, and does it mean that means it's Bluetooth accessible? We can. They're on the website. They're already on Notary Stars, so you can click through and find the brand that's best for you, but we recommend the brother brand that's on the website right now to save time, because I'm trying to go back through the questions.
Is that the 5200?
Yes.
Okay, warning. Been running into this a lot with my my students, and there's a solution for it. It's not doing the dual printing. It's not printing legal letter when you instruct it to do that, to print according to the size. And what I have found is that they need to go call Brother. There's a driver that Brother hasn't been putting into that printer, and it's causing chaos with my students.
I'm still going back through the chat.
And thank you, Russ.
So I've gone back to about 318. Let's see. Okay, someone from Santan Valley said, I've been signing since October. I'm still not confident enough to go direct. I have a friend who is a real estate agent wanting to recommend me to title company and keep telling her I'm not ready in Santan Valley. So I don't know if you're a Notary2Pro graduate or if we've worked together, because you're pretty close to here. But I want to talk about this thing about going direct really quick. I will tell you something. Unless you have the experience you need and the training that you need, do not try to go direct. You will burn bridges faster than you will cross them. You have to start out with signing agencies and supportive signing agencies and get the education. I'm not saying that you shouldn't after a certain amount of files, but I wouldn't even as a Notary2Pro graduate and walk into a title agency and be like, hey, I'm here, because you're not. You still have to get a little bit of experience. That's why there's a foundation. I wouldn't take every video on Notary Stars. And I even have notaries that I've hand trained, and I will not send them in to my title agencies, because that's throwing yourself to a wolf. They can see your weaknesses. There's no one there to support you. You can't ask a question. It's wrong place, wrong time. And we can talk about that. When is the right time? I think that would be a great video for me and you, Miss Carol. And I'm going to make a note of that when I rewatch this video of when is the right time to go into title companies. And if you don't feel confident enough, you're not ready. Let's see. Just looking for more questions. So I've gone back about 15 minutes. I'm just going to see if anybody's added any new ones. I don't see any questions that I haven't covered, but if anybody has any now that they want to enter into the chat, I'm giving this my full undivided attention. Okay, let's see. It says, I'm commissioned in multiple states due to being a military spouse. With Ron coming, could I still notarize remotely? Well, with Ron coming, it won't matter what state you're in. With remote online notarization, as long as your state approves it, they can use you anywhere. You just have to be in the state that you're licensed to do Ron. That I do know. So if you're licensed in Las Vegas, the signers can be anywhere in the US and in some platforms anywhere in the country, because we did one in India. As long as you yourself are physically planted in the state where you're licensed to do ROT. What states do I mostly provide work for? Personally, I provide mostly for Arizona, Washington, Colorado, Los Angeles, and a little bit of Texas right now. That's the most. I mean, we get nationwide, but okay, let's see. Marvin and Crystal, to everyone, how do you assign jobs? How do you assign jobs? My fiance and I both took the Notary2Pro certification, and we've been getting 3 to 4 signings a day from other companies. Just Friday, I did 6 signings for. The reason why I'm asking is because without exaggerating, I did at least twice a week, but they are never assigned to me. Okay, so with my company, and I know I was wondering if this was Marvin and Crystal. So I know, Marvin, your profile shows up, and I know that you get the signings based on proximity to the signing. So when you get the notification, it also how fast you respond to the signing. So you are definitely, because you're a Notary2Pro graduate, are up higher on our list. But depending, I mean, if you're closer to the signing, we're going to give it to the closest available agent to the signing. So if you're getting signings, it may go through like 15 agents or even up to 25. And then if that first notary says yes, because they're closer, they get that signing. So we try to send them to the closest available notary, so that notaries aren't having to travel so much.
I just saw a message and it reminded me of something, Ronnie, if you don't mind me saying, and that's in regards to Marvin and Crystal, talking about, you know, how they get jobs. I wanted to, they mentioned something about the Spanish signings. Our Spanish course now is completely translated into Spanish, and it's available for anybody who's really, we aimed it at people whose native language is Spanish. We thought that it would probably be easier for them to absorb the information if it was in their native language. It doesn't mean they don't speak beautiful English, but it is available on our site too. I want you to know that. And there's so much work for Spanish speaking students.
I want to bring up this as well. I'm not going to go into this because I will do my research on this, but we had someone said, please review Texas notaries. We are not an attorney closing state.
Well, they are not.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when I was saying the only time they have to be in a title or escrow office or an attorney's office.
They're a brick and mortar
state.
They're
doing a cash out.
State. And then, let's see, how can I sign up to Unlimited E? At this point with Unlimited E, and I'm going to mute everybody again really quick, just to, I don't know where that sound was coming from. The getting signed up with Unlimited E, our database is, I mean, anyone can sign up. You go to notaryresume.com, put in your profile, but in order to get on our top list, you must be a Notary2Pro graduate. I'm very adamant about that now. We have enough notaries everywhere, and I'm open to working with anyone, but I'm pretty much only work with Notary2Pro graduates. And when I call someone who's not a Notary2Pro graduate, I let them know I wish they were. Because I'm usually the one that the notary talks to before. Let's see. Do you recommend signing up with Unlimited Inc. as Notary Stars as well as Notary Stars? Of course I do, because I own both of the companies. But I just want you to know that they are independent companies of each other. Signing up with one does not guarantee business from another. Hold on, I gotta find that mute button because we're getting so much feedback. There we go. Let's see. Miss Ray's training is for beginners only, or does she have training suited for seasoned signers? I'm all for continuing education. Miss Vicky, I don't know But yes, Miss Carol's training is for everyone. It's not just for beginners. I find that a lot of our notaries who took it here in Arizona that were resistant to taking it because they're like, okay, Ronnie, we've been doing this for 5-10 years. They took it and they actually told me like, I got a lot out of this, and I was like, thanks. And I don't know what your age range is, but Miss Carol, I also want to plug your Primetime Notaries now because I think this is like the coolest idea. For Miss Carol actually has a program, not a program, but a meeting called Primetime Notaries for notaries over a certain age. That is a really great group for you guys to be a part of, and I know that it's taken off very fast because it's a needed program. So I really wanted to take time to plug that. So yes, her program is for everyone, and I do believe everyone learned something in that program. The number one thing, if you don't mind me saying, Miss Carol, that I think people should know from your program, there's so many things, but I run into this all the time when I review scanbacks. I'm trying to get out of this sun. It's like getting me right there. Okay. When you sign a Patriot Act form, you do not sign your name, comma Notary Public. You put signing agent as your job title. And that's one thing that I love that Ms. Carol teaches, because I see it every day, and I see every day someone stamp the Patriot Act form, and it's not a notarized document just because it's asking for your job title. So these are things that you learn in the Notary2Pro class. I know that there's other courses that teach stamp wherever you see the word seal, and I get deeds of trust back with 5 stamps because there's a PUD writer with 2 signers. So they stamp beside each signer's signature and then the notarization block. And I'm like, okay, you don't stamp wherever you see the word seal, you put a stamp in the notary block. So there's lots of little things that you learn in Miss Carol's course on top of actually how to actually do the job. So it is for everyone, but I do want to take that chance to plug, if you're doing, if you're over a certain age, she has Primetime Notaries now started, which I think is an excellent idea. I'm going to go back because I think I was missing something. I see that Joe Lopez answered the comment about what is RON. I'm not going to go into that because we started down that road earlier about what RON is. If you don't know, I'm going to talk to Ms. Carol. I think that should be our next session where we bring the more educated people into the conversation about RON. Let's see. And then we are at 3 hours and 44 minutes, and I planned an hour and a half. And the reason that I have to cut myself off is because, and if you've ever been assigned from me, a notary, I tell you on every call, I can talk the ear off of a horse. So I have to cut myself off at some point, or I will just keep going. Because I love to talk. I love people. I love... Miss Carol's talking and I got her on mute. What was that, Miss Carol?
That horse is bald now.
Yeah. If I don't cut it off at some point, I will just continue to go. But I do want to tell you something for everybody signing in, and I know this is from Miss Carol as well, and I'll let her say her piece before we go. I appreciate each and every one of you that came here today. Those who asked questions and those who did not. We learn from each other. Some people are more quiet than others. Some people are more vocal than others. And the only way that we can learn together is to be in the same space. And you may not be able to make it to the next one, but we will always have our replays up on our sites. And we are here to help at the most affordable prices. It does cost for education. It does cost for what we're doing. But at the same time, it's an investment in yourself and in your future. And if you're a signing agent, we are here to help. If you ever call me, even if you're not a Notary Star, I know Ms. Carol mentors people that are not Notary2Pro graduates as well, people who are still looking. We're open to conversation as well. Send us an email and ask us about the things that you need and get to know us, because we are here. We're a family styles business, both of us. My phone, I'm sure, drives my husband crazy when we're trying to watch a movie and I'm like, I gotta go outside, I gotta take this call. There's not a notary here that won't tell you that if you call me that I don't call you back. And sometimes it's weird when you work with me because I actually call you. I talk to you. I think Teresa Chase is on here. I see her there. I think I've actually talked to you before. Did you do a signing for us? You didn't? I think you signed up on Notary Stars and I called you. Did you sign up on Notary Stars? You're on there, and I think I called you because I remember calling you, and I can't remember if you're one of the ones that thought it was weird that I would call, but I've actually tried to call a lot of the people who are on Notary Stars and say, thank you for joining up. You know, this is what you can get. I don't remember talking to you. I definitely remember approving your listing, though, because you look exactly like your photo. So I saw your photo down in the corner, and I'm like, I know that woman, and then I know that you've either worked with us or you're on the Notary Star site. But I think some people can think I'm weird sometimes because I get to know the names and the faces, and a lot of people don't see my face. They just see hear my voice. But we are different companies because I think we run our companies with our heart. And so, you know, I want you guys to know that if you pay $9 a month for Notary Stars, you should expect me to answer questions. You should expect me to help you. And I believe Miss Carol does the same thing with her course. She's there for you. She's not just there to take your money.
Well, my comments are ditto. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on the next recording. And we will have this recording available at Notary2Pro.com on our homepage. Replay. Bye.
Thank you, everybody, and have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carol. Thanks, Brandon. Thanks for everything.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Just a minute. I'm going to get out of here.